for your service. Now I'll give you my backhand. My winner whizzes down the line. Betting weekly tennis live. Are you ready for it? Here we go.
Betting Weekly Tennis Live. It's Mitch Michals. It's Tim Dennis. It is all part of the Bet Rivers Network. Follow us on our socials at Because We Win. The Madrid Masters. We've got fourth round action in the men's side. We've got quarterfinal results. We've got some shocking results. And we've got some predictable stuff. Tim Dennis on the show as well. Tim, welcome to the program. Kind of odd. We've had all these matches today. Nothing going on live. There was one third set today, and it was in the Iga Swiatek match.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Mitch. Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, like you said, no three-set matches bar one, and that only, well, I say just went three sets. How many times have we seen Iga beaten 6-11? I think first time ever on clay. I read today somewhere. So normally she's the one dishing them out, but yeah, she was on the receiving end today. But she managed to come through that match, and she has a blockbuster tomorrow, which we can look forward to.
We have a lot to get to, Tim, as you mentioned. Like, it was stunning to see certain results. And really, I think the theme so far, especially on the women's side, is getting back on track. There was, more doubt with Coco Gauff, some doubt with Iga. How are they going to respond? Iga loses the first set, gets bageled, which is crazy to see that happen to her, but doesn't lose her train of thought, has a very methodical, professional approach, and beats Madison Keys, who is playing very well, serving well, but Keys gets figured out there by Iga, and then it was Coco Gauff beating Mira Andreeva, which we highlighted as a match of the day. Andreeva just turning 18 is back, making a statement, but Coco gets her again, and how quickly a match can change, right? 40-15 rather, 5-4. Andreeva serving for the first set. Gauff battles back, wins all but one game, wins the match 7-5, 6-1. So stunning stuff. Coco Gauff finding her groove and maybe a threat back on the clay once more.
Yeah, it looks that way. I've been waiting for Coco to get going all year, really. I mean, I saw her when she actually lost in Wuhan last year to Sabalenka, and it was after that match, or even during that match, I thought, okay, she's going to go on, and obviously she's already a Grand Slam winner, but really step on and win maybe 2 majors this year, and there's still time for her to do that. And now she's, after a few first-round exits early in the year, certainly on the clay, she now seems to be finding her groove, and she's managing to keep that double fault count down, which is a huge thing for her, I think, because as soon as 2 or 3 or 4 go in, then she just seems to almost lose her mind. So if she can keep that in check, which it looks like she's managing to do, then tomorrow looks like a heck of a match, doesn't it?
It certainly does, as Jean Schwartz 47 says in the comments here. I think it's an obvious and a full agreement. Best she's looked since the United Cup in January. And really, it was the end of last year into this year, wins the tour finals, makes a play, play some of her best tennis down under. Australia doesn't go her way, but Coco Iga tomorrow, that's going to be a big, big semifinal blockbuster match. We've got some matches to discuss too in still today. So we're in that preview show because there's a lot to get to. We've got a couple ATP matches left. We got 2 of them, and we've also got 1 WTA match. Let's look at the ATP matches, Tim, that we have later today. It'll be Grigor Dimitrov and Gabriel Diallo kicking us off in about 25, 26 minutes. Starting their nice session in Madrid. You see the lines there. It's Grigor minus 265. Diallo, the lucky loser from Canada, plus 205. And then it's Alex de Minaur Musetti, which should be a blockbuster. These two have been highlight makers, to say the least. So, Tim, starting with that Dimitrov Diallo match, it's a great opportunity for both these players. Diallo, lucky loser, is riding with that confidence. Grigor, sometimes the draw just breaks your way, right? All due respect to Diallo, but Grigor has an opportunity here to get to the quarterfinals, maybe beyond, and find some of that magic on the clay again.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, the draw's been kind to both of them. Like you say, Diallo being a lucky loser, he lost to Coric in final qualifying. And to sort of make matters even better, he was meant to meet Alcaraz in the second round, I think. And obviously he pulled out. So I think he's beat Zizou Bergs and then beat Cam Norrie, obviously, yesterday after losing the first set. So he's kind of playing with house money, isn't he? So, and I don't think he'll be afraid of Dimitrov. Dimitrov doesn't look as good as he has in previous years, I don't think. Bit lackluster. Obviously, he's come through, hasn't lost a set yet. But I mean, beating Jarry and Fernley, I think Diallo will probably give him a game today, and it'll be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, I think Diallo, how he's been playing too, a young player that's really been finding his groove, can really attack Dimitrov, who, by the way, had the injury stuff. You always got to wonder that. He's a little older. It didn't end well in Monte Carlo. There's been some tournaments where down the stretch. So maybe, like we were talking on Monday, if you see a player might be hampered, get in live or maybe get a first set bet. But Dimitrov certainly knows how to win here. The other match, Minaur, Musetti, these are two players that have been finding their groove. Musetti, when that win over Tsitsipas, the second time he's been able to beat him. Still an underdog, though. And I wanted to ask you, Tim, as we look at this match, is that over under 22.5 game number? Game spread just 1.5. It's a tight line, but are you surprised the line's pricing it this way with de Minaur in that slight favorite range?
Yeah, I think the lines are probably quite right. 'Cause I do see it being very close. Obviously, they played a three-setter in Monte Carlo when they last met. Probably the court probably just favouring Musetti that day. And from what I've seen so far, obviously Musetti looked excellent against Tsitsipas, but I do just have a feeling de Minaur might get his revenge today on the slightly faster court with the altitude. Looking at that first match they played in Monaco, de Minaur, he only had 52% of his first serves, winning 73% of points on it. I just think that level is quite low for him. He was a little bit higher against Shapovalov at 55, winning 79, and much better against Sonego at 70%. So I think if he can just up that first serve percentage a little bit, I think that'll stand in really good stead tonight. So yeah, I'm coming down on the fence of de Minaur here. I think he'll get his revenge tonight.
Do you expect a long match? Do you think it goes over that 22.5 number? Like their classic in Monte Carlo was down to the wire, third set tiebreak.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the form Musetti's in, and I think he's going to be a top 10 player for the first time next week. So he's going to take some confidence from that. He knows he's playing the best tennis of his career. So I see it going long as well. Obviously, de Minaur is extremely solid, doesn't make huge amounts of errors. And I think Musetti will obviously clearly give him a game. I think it will go long again. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this went 3 sets.
What a year for Musetti, especially on the clay and grass surfaces, right? If you talk about the last 12 months from really Wimbledon to becoming a bronze medalist at Roland Garros to now what he's done on the clay. But de Minaur, again, one of the most consistent players on tour and seems pretty fresh too. The best thing for de Minaur, right, was Musetti did his dirty work. He's 1-11 versus Tsitsipas, so didn't have to play Steph yet again.
Yeah, probably. Well, whatever happens, if he gets through, he'll probably shake his hand at the net with a bit of a thank you note as well, saying, "Yeah, thanks for getting rid of Tsitsipas me," because yeah, he doesn't. It's amazing that head-to-head record. I'm sure he's clearly aware of it too. So whether he wants a chance to try and up that record in his favor, or he just rather avoid him, who knows? But yeah, he'll probably be glad Musetti's on the other side of the net tonight. But like you say, they're probably the most consistent player out there, isn't he? I know Artur Fils had a great record in 1,000 events up to this week. Obviously, he went out early, but de Minaur, you can just set your watch by him, can't you? He's so reliable.
Yeah, and the Bet Rivers app, and you can find so many different bets, especially future bets. A lot of people like to play win your quarter bets in these big tournaments, and that goes to show you, right? Like Tsitsipas was in his quarter, people were scared, but there's no guarantee they'll actually play, so you never know what's going to unfold. You mentioned consistency. I did want to highlight, put a bow on before. Iga Swiatek is the only women's player to make the quarters in every Masters event this year, so she has been, we talk about great players, we hold them to high standards. She's still been pretty darn consistent. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and we said many times about the fact she hasn't made a final yet since Roland Garros, but yeah, she's still making quarters regularly, quarters, semis. So yes, like you said, as far as consistency goes, I don't think there are two better than Alex on the men's side and Iga on the women's. Or maybe Sabalenka might have something to say about that, but.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she's up there, too. And if you like long shots, as we've been saying here on the Bet Rivers app, you can get de Minaur 50-1 to win Wimbledon if you want to throw something there. He does have a grass title. There's a lot of intrigue at the top, we'll say, of the men's game based on injuries, availability, and form. But I digress, Tim. There is one more women's match today to see who will book the final spot in the semifinal round. It's Aryna Sabalenka versus Marta Kostyuk. Sabalenka, an overwhelming favorite. These two have played a few times. Sabalenka is in control of their head-to-head matchups. But Kostyuk's a fighter. She's played a couple tough matchups to get to this point. That number is minus 480 for Sabalenka. But if you look at the game spread, which is where I wanted to discuss things with you here, Tim, the last women's match of the day, 5.5 is a pretty sizable number. You can get minus 122 plus 5.5 games for Kostyuk. And Sabalenka in her match against Peyton Stearns yesterday got through in straight sets, but did have to fend off a ton of break points. So is there an angle on the game spread, or do you expect Sabalenka maybe to just handle business straightforward?
Yeah, I expect her to get it done tonight. They've met twice, both on hard courts, and I think both times she's just lost the 5 games. So she would have covered that 5.5 in both of those matches. And I see cost. I think if Sabalenka's on a game, which I expect it to be, night match in front of a decent crowd, she'll be well up for this. And I see her getting it done fairly comfortably again. And I'm not a massive fan of handicap betting in Sabalenka matches. Certainly not on the plus side for the other opponent, because she can just go and destroy other players comfortably. And I think that head-to-head record obviously stand her in good stead. And I think she'll get it done comfortably tonight.
Yeah, much like Iga, she loves playing here. I mean, Iga loves playing clay everywhere, but this is Sabalenka's tournament to really shine on the clay. We could be on a collision course. Still a lot of tennis to get to, but we could be on a collision course for the 3rd straight year with 1-1 in the finals, Sabalenka and Iga. 2 years ago, Sabalenka wins a 3-set thriller. Last year, Iga wins a 3-set thriller. So maybe the trilogy fight we all kind of want.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, that would look like the match of the year last year, didn't it? Certainly, I think it probably was. Some people may agree or disagree, but yeah, you'd love to see that for a 3rd time, wouldn't you? And I think, like you said, on the clay, this is Sabalenka's chance of getting her on the slightly quicker surface on the altitude. So, yeah, I just hope we get that final. Probably Goff might have something to say about that, and obviously Kostyuk already tonight. So there's a little bit of water under the bridge before we get there, but.
Maybe a set bet too, minus 182 for straight sets for Sabalenka might be worth playing, seeing how she comes out and, like many top players, ramps up when she gets to the later stages of the tournament. Sabalenka or Kostyuk, the winner of this match, will get Elina Svitolina, who, Tim, has just become a clay court machine. What she's been doing and how she's been doing it. Yes, Uchijima, who gets through Pagula, the draw opens up a little for Svitolina, but wins the title in Rouen and is just methodically handling business and not really losing sets on the way.
Exactly, yeah. And the Japanese player today, it looked pretty good up to this point, but Svitolina just dismissed it 2-1, didn't she? Yeah, what can you say? She's probably taken, I imagine she's took a bit of inspiration from her husband, the tennis he's managed to play in the later stages of his career. And yeah, she's just really just returning it on. And she could be another one. You look at a big price for Wimbledon. She's generally had some reasonable results there the last few years, and now she does look to be playing the best tennis of perhaps her career. So I mean, yeah, Sabalenka, if she does get through tonight, we'll know she's in a match, I think, when she plays Svitolina tomorrow, because her confidence must be sky high after winning the title last week. Yeah, and just not dropping a set, and she just dismissed Rybakina the other day comfortably, and she's obviously on a roll.
Well, we have a comment here from Ming Chung, and this is a fascinating one. Not sure I can be confident about Swiatek for the French Open now. I would push back with no confidence, but I do think there's point that, and we'll see how Madrid fares, right, Tim? Like, bageled for the first time in 6 years, but she doesn't come in with the same level of momentum that maybe she has in years past, but I still think you got to see her get taken out at Roland Garros. We're entering that Rafa territory, right? It's not obviously 14s and insurmountable, but still, when she proves that she can turn it on, I think it's still a level of confidence that has to be there.
Yeah, no, I'd probably agree with the comment there. I mean, do I want to take her on? I would probably not with my life, but there's players now, I think, that have raised their level a little bit, and whether Iga's has just dropped a fraction as well, and they've kind of met a little bit closer to where they were last year. Like the Schneider game yesterday was a good example. She bageled her in the first set. I think last year she'd have probably gone on to win that in straight sets, probably 6-love, 6-1 or 2. Whereas yesterday, I think she had 5 unforced errors in the first set, which you obviously come to, and 34 in the second. I mean,
yeah,
to make 34 unforced errors in a set is unheard of for a player of her ability. So I still think she's not at the level she was last year. And remember, Osaka had a match point early on against her last year at Roland Garros, and and had her chance. I just think this is going to be the hardest one for her to win, and she's obviously minus money a few months ago, and that's now plus money.
Yeah.
I definitely see this being the toughest one for her, because I think whether there's some issues there with her team or personal life or what it may be, who knows? But Rome will be interesting, because those conditions will be very similar too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you'd want to be having plenty about you to be getting stuck into really short money for the French, I think.
Plus 130 is the number now on the Bet Rivers app. So if you like Iga, it might be the time to jump in. Yeah, like Rome's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens in Madrid. But if you're going to maybe try to find value, it might be now before Rome. And we'll see if she ever is minus money heading into the tournament. But it's tightening up as we move along here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Mitch Michals, Tim Dennis, all part of the Bet Rivers network. Some interesting ATP matchups tomorrow. We've got lines on a few of them that we wanted to discuss. Casper Ruud, Daniil Medvedev on the clay. First time in their head-to-head. We're going to have Francisco Cerundolo take on Jakub Mensik, who continues to impress on this surface. And then Draper, big winner today, as was Matteo Arnaldi. Draper dismantling Tommy Paul. Arnaldi taking out Francis Tiafoe. So two men dispatching Americans are going to do battle. But let's start with that top one. Ruud taking on Medvedev, Tim. They played before, not on clay. Medvedev looking a little better on the surface, but I see Casper Ruud on clay and what he did to Taylor Fritz yesterday, and I think that's the guy that made all those runs to the Roland Garros final.
Yeah, exactly. Just looks to be coming to the ball, Ruud, doesn't he? These two have met 3 times, and Medvedev's won all of them in straight sets, twice on a hard court, and they played once in Spain, but that was actually on a grass court, so they've never actually met on clay, which is obviously Casper's favorite surface and probably Medvedev's least favorite. But if all the clay surfaces Medvedev be happy on, and be here at the slightly quicker and a bit of altitude. So I thought this game, Ruud would probably get his first set off Medvedev, and I thought it probably might well go long too. But like you say, Ruud is just looking like he's finding his feet and coming to find his best form too, just at the right time.
Maybe this is Medvedev's opportunity again. The unique clay tournament, it bears repeating. Medvedev's looking better, as we've seen that people like Medvedev in the spot. But yeah, I think the path's there, right? Could Ruud get his first Masters tournament? We know he made the final in Monte Carlo, losing to Tsitsipas in the past, but it's opening up for him. The draw's opening up. There aren't the heavy hitters at the top. He can match up well. And I think at that number, as we kind of flash it again, looking at it, minus 175, minus 113 on a 2.5 game spread. I'm with you. I think this is an opportunity for Ruud. I don't think he's going to waste this one. It's another player that kind of figures himself out as the season switches to the dirt.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, the winner of this will play either Cerundolo or Mensik, the winner of that match. So yeah, more great matches to come, which whoever comes through this one. And I'm sure Ruud is probably aware of that head-to-head, but he'll be thinking, if perhaps it's my time to turn that around in my favor and certainly get the better of Medvedev for the first time. But you know what you're going to get with Medvedev. He's just going to play ball after ball after ball, and he's going to make Ruud work for it. So yeah, my look at this one, it was probably end up going to go quite long, I thought.
So Cerundolo took out Zverev for the second time this year. Forehand was buzzing, looking great on the surface. He gets Mensik, who dismantles Ben Shelton, beats Bublik, leaves those guys kind of defeated. Mensik's serve, Tim, is unreal at this point. He's just electric out there. As we pointed out on Monday's show, he lost 2 first serve points the entire match against Shelton. But Cerundolo has some weapons, so that's it, right? Like, how does Cerundolo get into the Mensik serve, if at all, could determine this match. He's been a clay court specialist who's had success on the surface, probably top 10. And as we look at the board yet again, minus 143, slight favorite for Cerundolo. Do you expect the veteran here, Tim, to pull through, or is this just going to be another breakthrough win for the Czechia teenager?
Yeah, fascinating match, and I thought it's probably going to go sort of a point either way. I sort of looked through the week, and Mensik has had 27 service games so far this week, and he's only lost 1, and that was against he's broken to love against Ethan Quinn, when he probably must have just had a bit of a brain freeze, because then he immediately broke back the very next game and then served out the set. And then I think Cerundolo's had 30 service games, and he's only lost 1. So obviously these guys are clearly serving well, playing well on the surface. So my immediate look at this was, yeah, this is going to go long. And yeah, I mean, Mensik looks fabulous, doesn't he? Did you see the what Bublik said at the changeover
Yeah, I
yesterday?
said tennis used to be easy, and now and there were guys that you didn't even know in the top 10, top 20, top 30, and now you got this guy
Yeah.
who's,
Yeah, well, he
barely
said he's
top.
not even in the top 10 and he plays
Yeah.
as good as this. So he was obviously super impressed with Mensik. And yeah, I looked at the over 23.5 was plus money there. And that looked the standout bet of the day for me tomorrow in that match. It's going to be a fascinating contest. And I think it'll be decided by maybe a net cord here or there, or a couple of great return of serves on break points, but very few and far between. I think there'll be it's being serve dominated and perhaps certainly going long. That's the way I saw it.
They met once in Beijing. Cerundolo won. Obviously, Beijing last year, a little different. These young players can prove that they can step up and develop a little bit, like AI in a lot of ways. So, but maybe if the Mensik serves buzzing, and we've hit this before on this show, maybe you find a little tiebreak sprinkle in there, because I do think at the very least you're looking at maybe some long sets. So I don't know. Tiebreak could be possible in this one too. And then the other
Yeah, I'd
match,
agree
yeah.
with that too. Yeah, they had played a tiebreak in their first match too. The first set was a tiebreak. So yeah, I wouldn't put you off that at all if that's what you liked.
Last one of tomorrow on the ATP side, Draper and Arnaldi. Draper, how he looked today against Tommy Paul was something special, crushing that forehand, backhand as solid as ever. His strike zone's so high. It was notable on the feed of the match, Tim, how high he can hit that ball and how much spin he puts on it. Arnaldi's going to have his work cut out for him tomorrow, but he has had some notable victories, obviously making his way through the draw. And an interesting one to say the least. Plus 235 underdog, 22.5 is the over under. So I don't know. I think this could be more straightforward work for Draper as he proves he's an all surface player.
Yeah, looking at your the clip you just put up there, I thought the 3.5 game, I
Mhm.
thought Draper would probably cover that and cover it fairly comfortably. He's obviously playing full of confidence. Obviously, that huge left-handing serve is Arnaldi's not going to really know what to do with that. I think a lot of the time, if he's kicking that up to his backhand certainly on the ad court, and I think he's going to have his work cut out. Arnaldi, and Draper just looks to be really finding his feet and coming of age. And the guy's come so far in 12 months, and he just looks a danger to everyone now,
Mhm.
playing full of confidence. Obviously, like we said again, left-handed, and yeah, he's going to be. I think that 3.5 looked quite generous to me there. That's what I thought when I saw those figures.
Yeah. Very fresh is Draper too. Only had to play one set against Berrettini, 2 quick sets against Paul. It's been an issue in the past. This is their first matchup. Arnaldi, though, impressive. Being Tiafoe in straights is impressive too. So those are the matches tomorrow. One match already in the books for tomorrow. What a blockbuster it is on the women's side. We can kind of finish the show leading up into the tennis, discussing this in detail, Tim. Coco Gauff, Iga Swiatek, another matchup where Coco had been getting thoroughly beaten every time she went out against Iga, but recently maybe turned it around. Now, it hasn't been on clay to point out, but ATP Tour Finals, Coco gets a win. United Cup, Coco gets a win. This number, plus 180 for Coco, minus 220 for Iga. Diving into the spread, 3.5 is the game number, minus 109 for Coco, minus 114 for Iga. And then that over-under at 21.5. You see some set betting there as well. Tim, I'm intrigued by this number. The first thing that stood out to me is the books respect Coco in this matchup. I think she's getting a lot leaner price than most players, pretty much all players would get against Iga.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can see why though. Even the plus 180, I thought that was fair, and I was probably leaning towards Goff tomorrow. I just, like I said to you earlier on, I feel something's not quite 100% with Iga. Like these games she's been playing, I think she would have seen them out earlier.
Mhm.
Would she have lost a set off Ayala last year? I don't think so. Would she let Diana Schneider take that second set yesterday? I don't think the Iga of last year would have. And I think Goff is just a little bit like Casper. She's just coming into her form at just the right time. And I see Goff really giving her a run for her money. And I was kind of looking at getting on Goff on the money line and on the handicap tomorrow just to cover it as well.
It's interesting, right? 11-3 head to head, but the last 2 have gone to Coco. So it was 11-1, now 11-3. And it's hard, right? You look at data, you look at analysis, you're looking at scores. Iga had been not just winning these matches, but straight sets, not even, covering all the numbers essentially too. But I don't know. I don't know if you can look at that based on some questions with Iga, but also how Coco's looked in the last 2 matches. So yeah, as we pull this back up, and I'm thinking that the best thing I see on this board, oddly enough, Tim, would be that plus 145 over 2.5 sets. That would be where I look, because I think Coco at the very least. I don't know if I'm gutsy enough to go money line, but I do think getting a set is a reasonable possibility.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And obviously, if I'm hoping she'll win the match, so obviously she needs to be winning at least a set. So, but yeah, you look at Goff, and I just think what he said with those double serves, if she's keeping those down to a minimum, which she seems to be doing at the moment, that's obviously a big advantage to her, because she can completely melt down if she serves 4 or 5, and then you can actually see it get into her head with your own eyes. And like with Swiatek, she just doesn't seem. She's not killing off matches. I mean, who would have ever predicted? I mean, Keys taking a 6-love set of her today, and then she played obviously better tennis throughout. But Keys led her. Keys hit plenty of unforced errors early on in that second set. Fought back when the set was probably gone. But yeah, I think Goff is going to go in there full of confidence, having won their last 2. Obviously, she knows she hasn't beat her on clay, but if she's going to beat her on a clay court, this is probably the one. And I think she's going to be full of confidence, and I don't think she's got the ego to meet that she's met before on clay. I think it'll be a different one tomorrow, and I think she's got every right to give her a heck of a match. And like you say, 3 sets is a definite play, because I mean they both look to go off the boil at times, perhaps. So it could be a little bit swingy, and you might get in at both sides of the coin.
Straight set wins over Bencic and over Andreeva. You'd expect us to be saying that's Iga, but no, that was Coco Gauff. So I think that's going to be an exciting, intriguing matchup, as is the action today. We've got a lot going on there. And yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap up. Tim, any other thoughts before we go on about Madrid, or maybe some storylines heading into Rome and then RG, and how it might affect the betting market? Any other thoughts before we wind this down?
Yeah, well, certainly the next few days here, they could certainly affect the French Open markets. Obviously, I think on both sides, the men's and the women's. You look at, I mean, if Draper goes and completes the game here, or let's say Mensik gets on and wins, or Cerundolo, I mean, it could be any one of the 4 or 5 really that could get on and go and win that. Obviously, Ruud, whoever's going to win is clearly going to shorten. And if you're looking at Roland Garros now and fancying one of these guys, you're probably better off doing it now, because they're clearly going to shorten if they go a little bit deeper into this tournament and get it done. And the same with Iga. I mean, if Iga, all of a sudden she might win here and she might win in Rome, and she's probably going to be minus money again, which she was pretty much all through the winter. So if you're fancying a player now, the best time is to get on and with Bet Rivers and do it now.
Yeah, you certainly are. And I was looking at it too. We had a nice comment from Duncan Evans there. If you go with a Mensik Gauff money line, little money line parlay, that's plus 510. So a little over 5-1 on those 2 to win outright. If you feel like it could be worth it, but I don't know. I think
Yeah,
that's a
that could
good
be
one.
worth it. Yeah, I mean, speaking of bets, I just sort of thought we might carry on with the doubles we've just done lately.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at if I was going to pick 2 tomorrow, it would be the Cerundolo match would be over 23.5 was the one I liked at plus 102, and I'll be brave and I'll stick Goff in as well at
Wow.
plus 180.
All right.
Instead of the handicap, I'll go plus 180 on the money line. We'll put those 2 together.
I think they're both fighters. There's momentum swings. I think there could be live opportunities too. That'd be a match I'd target on the Bet Rivers app, like see how it changes. Watch the match too, which you can watch the tennis on Bet Rivers too, which is awesome. But you want to be able to see what's happening, and maybe there's a live angle in there too. And yeah, Rome next week, Tim. We got the return of Jannik Sinner. There's no Novak Djokovic. We'll see what Alcaraz's status in, but some uncertainty in the men's side, and the Italian Open will bring out the final big stop on the road to Roland Garros.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be great to see him back, and I'm sure a lot of the tennis world is going to be great to see him. But he's still got these question marks surrounding him, and obviously what happened with the doping ban yesterday, and obviously being slightly different to Sinner's, and it all just seems a little bit looked after, doesn't he? The world number 1, but whether you deserve that right being number 1, I don't think you do personally. But he's still got that.
Yeah.
Sinner probably would have wished this hadn't happened because it's brought that doping ban back
Yeah.
into the forefront when it was almost put behind him. But it'd be great
Yeah.
to see him back. And yeah, we all love watching him play because he's that good, isn't he?
Got Diallo and Dimitrov kicking us off here. We've got Sabalenka, Kostyuk, Musetti, Minaur, and a lot of matches tomorrow. Follow along Bet Rivers Network because we win socials. Betting Weekly Tennis Live is at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday every week. So more tennis as well. Tim, this was a blast. Always fun to talk tennis with you, Tim Dennis, here on the show. Can't wait to do it next time.
Yeah, look forward to it. Thanks for having me.
This was Betting Weekly Live Tennis, and we will talk to you soon. We'll see you next Monday. Enjoy the tennis. Download the Bet Rivers app and win some money. I'll see you next time.